We're in the Pirki Avot, chapters of the Fathers, fifth chapter, the fifth Mishnah. In the fifth chapter of Pirki Avot, it brings all these things which are according to number. First of all, it brings us several things which are according to the number 10. 10 tests that Abraham went through, and 10 difficulties that the Jews made for God in the desert. And then to talk about things here, let's 7 things that come in sevens and things that come in. Here's another 10. 10 miracles occurred to our forefathers in the land, in the Holy Temple. 10 miracles occurred to our forefathers in the Holy Temple. What 10 miracles? Number 1, pregnant woman went there also, right? A woman never had a miscarriage because she smelled the meat on the altar. A lot of times it says that a woman, if she's pregnant and she smells the meat, sometimes the child will want to come out. It encourages. It's never happened in the whole time of the whole temple, first, second temple. A woman never miscarried from the pleasant smell of the meat on the altar. Number 2, the meat, Hisriach Basar HaKodesh Me'olam, it never spoiled. We'll see what the miracle is. There was never seen a fly in the place where the meat was slaughtered. Usually when meat is slaughtered, there's a lot of blood, so there's flies. Not in the Holy Temple. Lo ira keri, the Kohen Gadol b'Yom Kippurim. The Kohen Gadol never ever had a seminal emission before the night of Yom Kippur. In Yom Kippur, the high priest had to go in and do all the service. If he had a seminal emission, that would make him impure. It would disqualify him. And true, they had a substitute waiting, but nevertheless, they never had to use the substitute because that never happened. Number 5, sometimes there was rain in the Holy Temple, and the place of the altar was outside. There was no ceiling over it. It was out in an open courtyard. And sometimes there would be heavy rain, but rain never extinguished the fire that was on the wood on the altar. Number 6, there was a pillar of smoke that went up from the incense, and it always went straight up. The wind never made it deter. We'll look at the explanation in a moment. We'll look at the Bartanura. Lo nimsa pasul, there was never any sort of disqualification in the Omer. The Omer was the barley offering that they brought right after Passover. Is called the Omer. From that they made Sfirat. They counted the Omer. Remember the 50 days you count? And also in the 2 loaves of bread. The 2 loaves of bread, that was a special offering of chametz, of leavened bread that was brought into the offered up in the temple, which usually leavened bread is not allowed in the temple, only with this and in Thanksgiving offering. But it was brought, these 2 loaves of bread were brought when on Shavuot, the holiday of Shavuot, celebrating the giving of the Torah. And also in the Lechem Apanim with the 12 loaves of bread that were changed every week. They were put in special like racks on a special table in what's called the Kodesh, the Holy. Anyway, there was never anything that disqualified these breads. Number 8, the people would go in on the holidays, especially on Yom Kippur, and when the high priest would go in, would come out from the Holy of Holies is he would say the name of God, and everyone would bow down. Well, the people that were there, they were standing like in the outer courtyard. They were standing packed, stuffed, one next to the other. There was no room to move. And when he would say the name of God, they would all bow down. What does it mean they would bow down? They would lay down on the ground, arms and legs spread out, and there was room around them, it says, around each and every person. They would stand up, pressed together, and they would bow down. There would be room around them. Miracle number 9, a snake or a scorpion never, ever harmed anyone, whether in the time of the holidays or not time of the holidays. Number 10, no one ever complained about a room, space in Jerusalem. No one said, it's not good, I don't have a place to sleep in Jerusalem. Some people say the miracle was there was no such thing, everybody had a place. And some people say, no, the miracle was there were people that didn't have places, but no one ever complained, which is even a bigger miracle. Let's see the explanation. Here we go. Bartanura, let's see. The Kohen Gadol never had a seminal emission because if it was any impurity coming out of his body, so this is he never became impure in any way. It never happened. But this is a more, how do you say, a more, it says mechor, it's an uglier sort of impurity because it comes from him. So that never happened. Lo kavu geshamim, even though that the altar was on an open place, nevertheless, the rain never put out the smoke, like we said. Also, the same thing, the smoke went straight up, and the wind did not make it bend. The smoke that went up from the altar. Some say it was from the altar of the incense, but the altar of the incense, that was inside. Also, there was never any disqualification in any of the bread offerings that were in the altar. We said that people were standing pressed together. Lashon Saf al Piyamayim. Because there were so many people, as it says that there were tsafufim, it means that people's feet actually lifted off the ground. Raglaim netulos min oretz. The people were pressed together so much when they were standing up that there were some people that their feet didn't even touch the ground. They were lifted up by the people that were around them, pressed together. But when they bowed down, there was a big miracle, and every person was far away from the person next to him, 4 amas, in order that no one could hear the other person when he would confess his sins. We're talking about Yom Kippur. And no one ever said that it was hard. He couldn't find a place to sleep in Jerusalem in the holidays. And because oh, here he says, one second. This is a new explanation. Let me just have a look at 1 second. Here he says different. No one ever said, I don't have a place to live in Jerusalem, to sleep in Jerusalem, right? Not because it wasn't a place. It cost money. You had to rent a place. All the people would go 3 times a year. They would go to Jerusalem, and they would spend the night there in order to make the sacrifices, whatever. So it said, no one ever said it was difficult to me because God would arrange for everybody a livelihood, and no one would ever have to leave and say, listen, I haven't got enough money. I can't live in Jerusalem, which nowadays to live in Jerusalem is tremendously expensive. There are some books that write, Kisha Alin. What does it mean? It means the people that go up to the temple. That there was none of them ever said that, listen, there's so many people here, I can't find a place. That's the usual meaning of it. But the Bartanura says, no, the main meaning is no one ever said, I don't have enough money to live in Jerusalem. That's what he said. Okay, these were the miracles that happened. Even though the fact is there were a lot of other miracles. For instance, it says there was a fire that came down from heaven in the shape of a lion, and it would eat the sacrifices. But this is not reckoned as one of the miracles in Pirki Avot. I asked people, and no one really gave me a clear answer why that's not considered one of the miracles. But these 10 miracles should suffice us to know that I guess maybe that was a revealed miracle. And all these miracles are ones you have to think about. You have to think about, you have to think into it and realize afterwards that it was just not a normal thing. Which is not case of fire coming down from heaven. That's a revealed miracle. Have a good day with Mashiach. Now, God willing, tomorrow, 8:15, we're continuing in Pirki Avot, and in Lekuti Torah, and in Dvar Malchut. Shalom Uvracha.